You know that feeling. You're standing over a putt, you think you've got the line, the speed feels right, and then, it just burns the edge. So frustrating. It often feels like reading greens is some kind of dark art.
It really can feel that way. But what if technology could help translate some of that art into, well, something a bit more like science?
Okay, I'm intrigued. Is that what we're talking about today?
It is. We're going to dive into the Puttalyze app. It's a tool designed specifically to help golfers like you get a better handle on those tricky breaking putts.
Puttalyze. Okay, so
Mhm.
how does it work? What's the core idea?
The app really focuses on visualizing the putt's path using three key concepts: something they call aim point, then distance point, and finally, target speed.
Aim point, distance point, target speed. Sounds technical, but potentially very useful if it stops those lip outs.
Exactly. And the goal of this deep dive really is to understand how this app uses those ideas, drawing on info directly from the Puttalyze website to actually help you improve your green reading and hopefully make more putts.
All right, let's break those terms down then. Aim point. What are we looking at there? Is it just where I point my putter?
Not quite. Think of it more as the initial target for your ball relative to the hole. So if there's slope, the ball's going to curve, right?
The break.
The aim point tells you precisely how far left or right of the actual hole you need to start the ball rolling so that the slope brings it back towards the cup. It's often further away than your intuition might suggest, especially on subtle breaks.
Ah, okay, so it quantifies the starting line needed to account for the curve. Makes sense. What about distance point then?
The distance point is maybe a bit less intuitive at first. It helps you visualize the speed. Imagine if that same putt was perfectly flat. The distance point shows how far past the hole the ball would roll if hit with the ideal speed for the breaking putt.
Hmm. Okay, so it separates speed from break in a way, like hit it with this much pace, visualized as a point past the hole on a flat surface.
You got it. It helps you calibrate the pace needed for the break, independent of just thinking about the hole itself.
Okay, and target speed. That sounds more straightforward. The speed I need to hit it.
Exactly. It's the initial velocity the ball needs right off the putter face to reach that aim point with enough energy to follow the curve and ideally drop into the hole with the right pace.
So the app takes these concepts.
Yeah.
How does it figure out the actual path and these points for my specific putt? Does it, like, watch me swing?
No, nothing like that. It's based on the information you give it. You tell it, okay, the putt is, say, 15 feet, and you estimate the slope maybe using your feet or another method.
Right.
Then the app uses mathematical models, basically physics equations, to simulate how the ball will roll on that specific inclined surface.
And it shows you this.
Yes, that's the powerful part. It gives you a graphical display on your phone, the predicted curved path of the ball, where the aim point is, where the distance point is. Seeing that visual can be a real eye-opener.
Okay, now you mentioned physics. Is this complex, cutting-edge stuff, or...
It's based on well-understood principles. Essentially, the equation of motion for a ball rolling with friction on an inclined plane. Think about gravity pulling it downhill and friction slowing it down.
Uh-huh.
The app applies established formulas to calculate that path. This isn't guesswork. It draws on foundational physics work, the kind of stuff researched in papers by, people like Grober and Penner years ago. It's solid science.
That's good to know. It has a real scientific basis. But, well, greens aren't perfect laboratory surfaces, are they? Are there limitations? Things it can't account for?
Absolutely, and that's important to understand. The app makes a couple of key assumptions for its calculations. First, it assumes the green surface is essentially a flat plane, especially in the area right around the hole.
Okay, so no massive undulations right at the cup.
Right. For most putts close to the hole, that's a pretty reasonable approximation. Second, it assumes the ball is in a state of pure roll almost immediately. It doesn't really model any initial skid or bounce the ball might have right after impact.
Got it. So smooth strokes on relatively smooth surfaces near the hole. What sort of putt distances does it work best for? Are we talking tap-ins or long lag putts?
It's designed for putts roughly between 1 meter and 8 meters, so that's about 3 feet out to maybe 26 feet or so. That covers a huge percentage of the putts you face where reading the break is really critical.
Okay, that's a very useful range.
And there's one other constraint related to the green conditions. It involves the green speed measured by the stimp meter.
Right, the stimp rating. Feet, usually.
Yes. The app works best when the stimp reading in feet multiplied by the maximum slope percentage of your putt is less than or equal to 40.
Stimp times slope. Less than or equal to 40. Why that specific limit?
It's really about ensuring the model's accuracy. On extremely fast greens combined with very severe slopes, think Augusta National Horror Putts, the physics gets much more complex, and predicting the roll becomes significantly harder. That limit helps keep the app's guidance reliable for the vast majority of playing conditions golfers encounter.
Makes sense. You want predictable results from the tool. Now, I saw there's also a coaching section within the app, so it's not just about the simulation.
Not at all. That's a really valuable part of it. The coaching section offers resources to help you actually become a better putter overall, not just rely on the app for every read.
What kind of resources?
Things like instructional videos, tips from experts, specific drills and exercises you can practice to improve your putting stroke mechanics, your alignment, your pace control.
So practical stuff for the practice screen.
Exactly. And it also delves into how to identify common putting flaws and correct them, plus more general advice on reading greens effectively, how to better judge slope and speed yourself.
So it's trying to teach you the skills, using the app as a sort of learning aid alongside the coaching. I like that approach.
Definitely. And they're apparently planning to introduce personalized feedback in the future. Imagine the app analyzing your actual putts, maybe through the phone's camera, I'm not sure the specifics, and comparing your results to its optimal predictions.
Wow, okay. That could really show you where your stroke or your read is going wrong.
Precisely. That kind of direct feedback loop could be incredibly powerful for pinpointing weaknesses and guiding your practice.
Yeah, that sounds game-changing potentially. Now, thinking about using it on the course. Is it quick? Easy to use? I don't want to be holding up play fiddling with my phone.
That's always a concern with golf tech, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the developers seem to have focused on user-friendliness. It's described as having intuitive menu-based navigation.
Okay.
So inputting the distance and slope, viewing the simulation, accessing the coaching, it should be pretty straightforward. And it's available for both Android and Apple iOS, so most people will have a compatible device.
Good. Accessibility is key. And you mentioned this isn't just some random app developer's idea. There's some scientific backing presentations.
That's right. It adds credibility.
Yeah.
The underlying concepts, particularly around adjusting for slope, were actually presented at the World Scientific Congress of Golf. Yeah, the XI Congress in 2024 at Lauper University. A researcher, Paul Jordan, presented specifically on adjusting putt distance on slopes relative to flat putts, which ties directly into what the Puttalyze app is doing with its distance point and target speed calculations.
So peer-reviewed scientific interest supports the approach. That definitely adds weight.
It does. It suggests the methodology is sound and recognized within the golf science community.
Okay, so let's recap. The Puttalyze app uses established physics to model how a golf ball rolls on a slope. It gives you visual aids, the aim point, distance point, and calculates the target speed needed.
Correct.
And beyond just giving you the numbers for that putt, it includes coaching resources to help you improve your underlying putting skills and green reading ability.
Exactly. It's that combination of the physics-based simulation and the practical coaching advice that makes it potentially quite powerful. It's trying to demystify the breaking putt by showing you the unseen forces at work.
Helping you make more informed decisions on the green, ultimately.
That's the goal. Less guesswork, more understanding, and hopefully fewer strokes on your scorecard.
This has been really interesting, getting under the hood of the Puttalyze app. It really highlights how technology is finding ways to analyze and potentially improve even the most field-based parts of sports like golf.
It certainly does.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? Considering how this app tries to bridge that gap between hard physics and the art of putting, where else might technology take us in understanding and executing these really complex, nuanced movements in other sports? How much further can tech push the boundaries of both physical skill and strategic thinking?